Strategic Management, a continuous narrative summary. Strategic management is presented in this book as the long, patient, and disciplined art of deciding where an organization is going, why it is going there, and how it will survive, compete, and grow in a world that never stops changing. The story begins with the idea that no organization, whether a business, a government body, or a non-profit institution, exists in isolation. Every organization is born into an environment filled with customers, competitors, technologies, laws, cultures, and economic forces, and from the very first day of its existence, it is shaped and pressured by these forces. The central purpose of strategic management is to help leaders understand this environment, understand themselves, and then connect the two in a way that creates long-term success rather than short-term survival. The narrative opens by explaining that strategy is not just a plan written once and placed in a drawer. It is a living logic that guides thousands of daily decisions. Good strategy gives an organization a sense of direction, a reason for choosing one path over another, and a way to say no to attractive but distracting opportunities. Without strategy, organizations drift. They react instead of acting, and they slowly lose their identity. With strategy, even small organizations can punch far above their weight because their actions are focused and coherent rather than scattered. At the heart of strategic management lies the idea of purpose. Every organization must answer three fundamental questions. What is our mission? What is our vision? And what are our core values? The mission explains why the organization exists right now in simple human terms. The vision describes what the organization wants to become in the future, not as a vague dream, but as a concrete direction. Values define the boundaries of behavior, explaining what the organization will and will not do even when doing the wrong thing might be profitable in the short term. Together, mission, vision, and values form the philosophical foundation of all strategic decisions. From this foundation, the book moves into the careful study of the external environment. It explains that no strategy can be built in a vacuum because opportunities and threats are always created outside the organization before they are felt inside it. Economic conditions influence what customers can afford. Political and legal systems decide what is allowed and what is forbidden. Social and cultural trends change what people desire and what they reject. Technology constantly rewrites the rules of what is possible. Environmental and ecological concerns increasingly shape regulation and consumer behavior. Strategic managers must learn to scan this broad environment continuously, not to predict the future with certainty, but to reduce surprise and to prepare flexible responses. The analysis then narrows to the industry environment, where competition takes place directly. Here the book introduces the logic of competitive forces, explaining that profitability in an industry is not a matter of luck but of structure. The threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of suppliers, the bargaining power of buyers, the threat of substitute products, and the intensity of rivalry among existing competitors together determine how much value can be created and how much of that value can be captured. Managers who understand these forces can see beyond daily battles and recognize the deeper economic logic of their industry. But understanding the outside world is only half of the strategic equation. The other half lies inside the organization itself. The book therefore turns to internal analysis, asking what the organization is actually capable of doing. Resources such as money, buildings, machines, patents, and brands are important, but they are not enough. What truly creates advantage are capabilities, the complex combinations of skills, processes, experience, and culture that allow an organization to use its resources better than others. Some of these capabilities, when they are valuable, rare, difficult to imitate, and well organized, become the foundation of long-term competitive advantage. This is where the idea of core competencies appears. Core competencies are not things that can be bought easily on the market. They are built over time through learning, experimentation, and coordination. They are often invisible to outsiders and even to the organization itself, yet they shape everything the organization does well. Strategic management, in this sense, is as much about discovering who you are as it is about deciding what you want to do. By combining external analysis and internal analysis, the book presents the classic picture of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but it is careful to explain that this is not a mechanical checklist. The real value lies in the strategic insight that comes from seeing how strengths can be used to exploit opportunities, how weaknesses can be protected from threats, and how the organization's unique position in the world can be clarified. Once this analytical foundation is built, the story moves to strategy formulation. At the highest level, this means corporate strategy, the set of decisions that define in which businesses and industries the organization will compete. Should the company focus on one core business or diversify into many? Should it grow through internal development, through mergers and acquisitions, or through alliances and partnerships? Should it operate in one country or become a global player? These are not technical questions. They are identity questions because they define what the organization is and what it is not. Diversification, for example, is shown as both an opportunity and a danger. Related diversification can create synergy, allowing different parts of the organization to share skills, technologies, or markets. Unrelated diversification can reduce risk but often destroys focus and creates complexity that is hard to manage. The book explains that many of history's most expensive strategic mistakes were made not because managers were lazy or stupid, but because they underestimated the difficulty of managing complexity. International and global strategy receive special attention because the world has become deeply interconnected. The book shows that operating across borders is not just a matter of selling the same product in many countries. Differences in culture, regulation, costs, and customer preferences create constant tension between the benefits of global integration and the need for local adaptation. Successful global strategies are those that find intelligent ways to balance these opposing forces rather than choosing one extreme. Below the corporate level lies business-level strategy, which is concerned with how to compete within a particular industry. Here the book explains the fundamental logic of competitive positioning. An organization must decide whether it will compete primarily on cost, by being more efficient than rivals, or on differentiation, by offering something unique that customers are willing to pay more for. Some organizations try to focus on a narrow segment of the market, serving a specific group of customers better than anyone else. What matters is not the label of the strategy, but the clarity and consistency with which it is pursued. The danger of being stuck in the middle is emphasized. Organizations that try to be both the lowest cost producer and the most differentiated often fail at both, because each approach requires different structures, cultures, and systems. Strategy, in this sense, is as much about making hard choices and accepting trade-offs as it is about ambition. Functional strategies then translate these broad competitive choices into action in areas such as marketing, operations, finance, human resources, and research and development. The book shows that even the best high-level strategy will fail if it is not supported by thousands of aligned decisions in these functional areas. Operations must be designed to support either efficiency or flexibility. Marketing must communicate the chosen value proposition. Finance must allocate capital in line with strategic priorities. Human resources must recruit, develop, and reward people in ways that reinforce the desired behaviors. This naturally leads into the theme of strategy implementation, which the book treats not as a secondary or technical issue, but as the real test of strategy. Many strategies fail not because they are wrong, but because organizations are unable to execute them. Structure, culture, leadership, and control systems all play crucial roles here. Structure defines who reports to whom and who has the authority to make which decisions. Culture shapes what people do when no one is watching. Leadership provides direction, energy, and meaning. Control systems ensure that performance is measured and that learning takes place. The book pays special attention to organizational culture, describing it as a powerful but often invisible force. Culture can be a source of strength when it supports the strategy, but it can become a silent enemy when it is misaligned. Changing culture is shown to be one of the hardest tasks in management because it involves changing habits, assumptions, and identities, not just processes and charts. Leadership is presented not as a matter of personal charisma alone, but as a set of responsibilities. Strategic leaders must be able to see the big picture, make decisions under uncertainty, communicate a compelling sense of direction, and build organizations that can learn and adapt. They must balance short-term performance pressures with long-term health. They must also deal with ethical dilemmas, because strategic decisions often affect not only shareholders but employees, communities, and entire societies. The theme of innovation runs throughout the narrative. The book explains that in many industries, competitive advantage is temporary. Technologies change, customer preferences shift, and new business models appear. In such an environment, the real strategic challenge is not to build a single advantage, but to build the ability to create new advantages again and again. This requires a culture that encourages experimentation, tolerates intelligent failure, and learns faster than competitors. At the same time, the book warns against the romance of constant change. Not all change is improvement, and not all stability is weakness. Strategic management is portrayed as the art of knowing what to preserve and what to transform, what to exploit and what to explore. The story then turns to strategy evaluation and control. No strategy can be perfect from the beginning because the world is too complex and uncertain. Therefore, organizations must continuously monitor their performance and their environment, question their assumptions, and be willing to adjust. This does not mean changing direction every month, but it does mean maintaining strategic flexibility and intellectual honesty. Throughout the book, ethics and social responsibility are treated not as decorations, but as central strategic issues. Decisions about products, labor practices, environmental impact, and governance shape reputation and trust, which in turn shape long-term performance. The narrative argues that in the long run, strategies that ignore ethical and social realities create risks that no amount of short-term profit can justify. In its closing sections, the book returns to the human side of strategy. It reminds the reader that organizations do not think. People do. Analysis, models, and frameworks are only tools. What really matters is the quality of judgment, the courage to make choices, and the ability to mobilize others around a shared purpose. Strategic management, in the end, is not just about winning in markets. It is about giving direction to human effort in a complex and uncertain world. Seen as a whole, the book presents strategic management not as a rigid formula, but as an ongoing conversation between the organization and its environment, between ambition and reality, between today's pressures and tomorrow's possibilities. It is a discipline that combines analysis with imagination, discipline with courage, and logic with deeply human concerns. And it is in this combination that the true meaning and power of strategy are found.